Welcome to the Amazing Authorities Podcast, where game changers, visionaries, and category leaders share how they built their brands, platforms, and global influence. Your host is Mitch Carson, international speaker, media strategist, and creator of the Instant Authority System. If you're ready to learn from those who've done it and want to become the go-to expert in your space, you're in the right place.
Welcome to another episode of Amazing Authorities. Today's guest, where we have reversed roles, is Deanna Radulescu, if I pronounced it correctly.
It's Radulescu now.
Radulescu. All right. Well, yeah, we got to update the Zoom to Radulescu, who I was a guest on her podcast, the Label Free podcast, some months ago. It was last year. Gosh, it was 2024. We're in 2025. And she's an excellent host, an open book as she describes herself, and has got two macaws that are added to the collection of ornaments, and as well as her dog that you might see during this recording that is behind her. And welcome to the show, Deanna.
Thank you for having me, Mitch. It's great to be we changing positions. I like it.
Well, yeah, we've got to reverse roles, and that's how the reciprocity works. You know, and I enjoyed being a guest on your show, and I want to make sure that everybody understands that you're a host as well. And please check her show out, the Label Free podcast, and we'll have a link below for you to access that show to listen to it and apply to be a guest, because she does have great distribution, has a high-ranking podcast, and that's my pitch for Deanna. Now, wait till the end because I'll repeat it. I mean, you've lived an interesting life, because we did chat a little bit before we got into the recording process. What's your life story in a short, brief?
That's kind of hard to say because you can go down so many different avenues with that question. I think that I'm an example, or I'm a reflection of resilience.
Yes.
And not allowing things to deter me from chasing my dreams, right? I think so often, even in today's world, when we have so much that we can tap into to help get through like challenging times, people get stuck there, right? And they want to stay in this victim role, whereas I'm incredibly resilient. I don't want to stay there. I refuse to be a victim, and I want to learn the lesson of whatever hard chapter I'm in and move forward.
Well, one of the things I like about you is you've had some adversity. You're a widow. You were involved with your former husband, or late husband, I guess is the right term, in several businesses. And there was some unraveling that took place because of kids and family. And it does get messy when there's money involved. And how did you endure that to now land on your feet, running a profitable podcast, and live a life? Now you're talked about, you're going to go down to another city and invest in a franchise. That's another new venture for you. I mean, how do you go through and endure and come out and rise like a phoenix?
So I am incredibly grateful for the life that I lived with my late husband. We did live a very big life. We flew private. We had all the toys, lived in the 10,000 square foot home, the mansion, in a gated community. I have an incredible business experience in my that I can refer to in my resume, closing multi-million dollar contracts with some big names that we all know, like Verizon, just a lot of the waste haulers that are around the country and things like that. So I'm incredibly grateful for that experience. It was a nightmare to go through the unraveling, as you put it, with my ex-family, and just to kind of go, when you go from up here, when you are at the top of the world to the bottom, it's a big reality check, right? I had to really check my ego and humble myself, and I had to move through it as gracefully as possible. And I did. I fought hard to get something because they really wanted me. They didn't even want me to leave with the clothes on my back. So I had to play. I didn't play dirty like they did, but I was a fighter through the whole thing. And I did end up walking away with a little settlement. It wasn't a lot. I invested that in another venture that was always my dream. But much happier now living the life that I'm living now than the life that I was living before with my late husband. I'm very grateful for that time, grateful for the businesses that we had and my experience traveling all over the place, but I was not very happy. And then he got very sick, and it was like we worked so hard to achieve all this and have all this, to you at the end of the day not being able to enjoy any of it.
Yeah, that's I've got a similar story. Well, I mean, a relatable story that I'll share with you privately at another time. But
Okay.
yes, I can from tremendous success living in a mansion to then that all getting demolished, and that was part
Yeah.
of my divorce, which was a different reason. And
Yeah.
you
I
you know
remember
you
that.
yeah, you either pivot or perish.
Right. Yeah, and a lot of people are like, if I was you, I'd be sitting in the corner rocking back and forth. I'm like, why? Why would I do that? Like, as hard,
Boring.
I had some hard nights. Like, I would be drinking and I would be by myself, and I'm not gonna lie, I did break some stuff, like thinking about it, crying, and just like I let it out, and the next day I just picked myself back up and kept moving forward. Like, what am I gonna do? I don't think that's healthy to stay in that mindset, and at this point in my life, I can look back and I can appreciate the experiences that I had, because it gives me a deepness and more wisdom than other people. I mean, I lived a life that most people will never ever touch.
And yeah, don't get to experience. You experience it's a reference point, and
Right.
you know what goes with that type of lifestyle,
Oh
and
yeah.
and there are some trade-offs to go
Oh,
live
big
that.
time.
Yeah,
Ooh, big time.
and now you're remarried and living a different life.
Yes. Yeah. Much different life.
Is it a more humble life?
So I don't know how to answer. My current husband, he spoils me probably more than my late husband did, in terms of like just gift giving and things like that, but very supportive, but this is also, I'm in a different phase in my life. I'm doing different things. I've got my own business. Like he's a police officer. So we live two different, like in our day to day, we live two different lives, but we are very connected and just really like it's effortless, and I think in every relationship I've ever had, there was some pushing. And I realized like that's never good. If you have to push a relationship forward, that's a sign that it's not good for you. If things are effortless, then you should just go with the flow, because that is a much happier place to be.
I totally agree, because if it
Yeah.
does take, well, I think my mother told me if it's more, might have been, but she did have some great insights. If it's more, you look at it, because her brother was a lawyer. The
Yeah.
scales of justice, the scales of balance. If it's more
Yeah.
negative than positive going on, we
Yeah.
all have issues with relationships. No relationship is
Sure.
perfect. But if
Right.
there are more negatives that keep continually are up like this, then there's an imbalance of
Yeah.
happiness or
Yeah.
serenity.
Yeah.
Time to put something on that negative side that'll be more
Oh
fitting.
yeah. Yeah. I just think that if anyone is in a relationship and one or the other person is trying to push it forward, that's a sign that it's probably not for you.
Now, is that a metaphor for business as well?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Business, like if you're going to be successful in business, you have to be committed and you have to push it forward. Like, cause
Okay.
it's not going to happen on its own. Definitely not going to happen on its own.
So that only applies to intimate relations. Just want to make that
That's
distinction.
what I think. That is my,
No,
my opinion.
well,
Words
but
of
I'm
Deanna.
interviewing you, so yes, I need your opinion. You're the guest expert. So
Yeah.
you do have to continue to push. And at what
Yeah.
point? All right, but here's the question where I was going with this. I get you have to push. You got to push
Yes.
and create some momentum. At what point do you stop pushing? Because a lot of people stay in a business a long time. If we go back in history and we're still young enough to remember about horse and buggies, at least from the movies, they
Yeah.
weren't necessarily around when we were born, respectively, but a horse
Yeah.
and buggy was the mode of transportation. At
Right.
what point, if you were in the buggy whip business and building buggies for horses to pull, do you say,
Right.
I got to leave this because cars have taken over? When do
Right.
you understand you can't
Yeah.
push
I
that
understand what you're saying.
anymore because it
Right.
belongs, the only place you're going to push it is to a museum.
Yeah. True. So I believe in evolution, right? I believe in
Yeah.
like pivoting and rebranding and, like you just have to kind of refocus and try to evolve with how things change. And an intelligent person is going to always do their research and read and look into. So like we're in the podcasting space, and the podcasting space keeps evolving. And so I know now is a big thing that they're telling people, if you read the newsletters and you're dialed into these different business or pod news, different places that talk about things that are happening in the space, right? They're pushing YouTube. Well, I started being on YouTube way before they started pushing it, because I just felt like that if you're going to be covering, if you're going to be in media, and if you're going to be putting yourself out there, you should be tapping into every place that you can put yourself, so that you're more searchable. It gives you more visibility, more credibility. You just become more of the expert. So I think that in any industry, you should always be try to be one step ahead of where things are going, right? I mean, it's just the world we live in. It's moving very fast. We got the AI now, and I utilize AI big time for what I do. Big time. I love it. But
As an example,
what do you mean?
how do you use AI?
So I will write my message, or I'll write what I want something to say, and I'll plug it in there and play, please rewrite. And so usually 9 times out of 10, it rewrites a more precise, professional email, newsletter, social media post for me, which makes my job a lot easier. It corrects misspellings, any grammar. So I love it. It makes me way more efficient, and it's memorizing your style now. So my AI, my Chat GPT, I can just ask a question and it's going to answer like for me, because we've got a relationship now, which I absolutely love.
Yeah, and that relationship flows, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
flows very nicely. Sometimes I've got to correct it. Like I got to correct my husband, but no, just kidding.
You have to edit the relationship.
Edits, yes,
yeah,
edit.
It needs edits. Well, that's any relationship, albeit a robotic one, or a human flesh. But that's interesting. Yeah, ChatGPT has changed my life. And what I've mostly taken away from it is clarity and time, saving time. Because if I had to write copy to a blank page, that took a lot of time.
Yeah.
And
agreed.
Oh my gosh, to rack the brain. There's something in there, and I'm having these conversations with myself, but now I have a robotic relationship who's my best friend.
I love it.
Yeah. And I don't even have to take him shopping,
Yeah, that's a plus.
So how did you close? I want to hear this, and our viewers and listeners would love to hear this. How did you close a $20 million deal? That's big.
Yes, it's huge. The biggest one. Well, biggest one initially. I had other contracts that I closed that over the course of years probably ended up being way more than $20 million, right? But I was big into. I was in the automotive industry with my late husband, and I was looking into bids. Like I would subscribe to these bidding services, like all over the country for transmissions. We did transmissions. And so there were a lot of bids out there for transmissions. And so I won a lot of bids. And so this one came across my desk. It was for South Carolina for the school buses. So South Carolina, I guess, owns all their school buses at that time. I don't know if they still do, because that was a while ago. And they were bidding it out for 5 years, and it was $4 million a year based upon their usage, right? And I went ahead and I'm like, I'm signing up for this. And so I was very thorough with my bids. I'm very contract oriented. I'm very savvy when it comes to that. I mean, I don't know why, my brain works well reading contracts and understanding what they need. So I would go above and beyond and be incredibly precise with submitting bids. And I would and with that one in particular, I created a relationship with the procurement manager. So you're not just a number, like submitting a bid. They actually know my name. Now I've had a conversation with them wanting to understand what it is that they're looking for when I submit this bid, so that I could stand out. And so I did a really great job in creating that relationship, understanding what they're looking for, so that I could submit a bid that would be something that they would want to sign off on. And so we won that deal, got the contract. There was a lot of pushback. We ended up having to hire a lawyer because the competitors that had that contract before were very unhappy that we got it.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
They didn't get renewed.
Correct. We got it. So
what was their grounds for suing you?
No, they didn't sue us. They were fighting the award. So when a bid is awarded, so it's a public knowledge, right? So we got awarded the bid. They were disputing it, and so there's a thing called Allison authorized. And so like Allison transmissions are in school buses, they're in waste haulers, they're in delivery trucks, they're in large utility vehicles. And so we were not Allison authorized, but we did use genuine Allison parts. And so we tried to become authorized, but that was it's a big, good old boys club. Very
Uh,
hard to very hard to get into. And so we had to prove that we used genuine Allison parts, so not it's like OEM parts instead of aftermarket. And so we
got it.
did, but we still won it at the end of the day. I don't know if they managed to keep it after, because won that in 2015, kept it in 2015. My late husband passed away in 2016. So if they kept it, I mean, I don't have no idea.
Well, that's in your past, but I want to break that down a little bit. You weren't just a number. You weren't just a company that was submitting a closed bid. How did you bridge the gap in the relationship to get, hey, am I in the right price point? Are we coming in above or below the norm? I mean, how did they eventually award the bid? Because this is really good information. Because
let me try to think back. Yeah. So I think that any bid, like state and federal bids, is public knowledge. You can pull up that contract and see what the pricing is.
Oh,
and so like if you are in that contract bidding space, like it's really smart for you to pull the prior bids to see where they were at. And so you can kind of submit your price, your bid based upon numbers from the previous contract.
well, what were their criteria to be awarded the bid? So it wasn't just price focused, then, was it?
It was the genuine Allison parts, which we did. We proved that we used all genuine Allison, and we dyno tested all of our transmissions. So we would put it on a dyno, which it simulates in-vehicle operations. So we'd hook it up and every test took about 45 minutes. So that was where our backlog was testing all of our transmissions. But we would put out 100 transmissions a day. I mean, we were one of our partners is AER out of Texas that did all the FedEx, UPS, post office. And so we were doing like 120 transmissions for them. So yeah, I mean, that dyno tested and genuine Allison parts.
Wow. Okay. Well,
It's amazing. I still remember this stuff.
It is what it is, but what I wanted to refer to, and this is where it's important. So you met the criteria that they were looking for. You pushed, as opposed to, all right, you established a relationship with the decision maker or makers, I would imagine.
Yes.
And you also had to compete against the incumbent, let's just say, or the existing company that had the contract before you. And how did they fail to get it renewed?
You know what? I don't know. I don't remember. I think maybe everything's based on price. So if you're bidding something for state and federal, everything's based on price and quality, right? So we had to meet the quality standard, and we had to come in competitive enough to where they would award it to us for like the value. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't know what they submitted because we won the contract.
Well, okay. I mean, it's just interesting. I believe there is a component of relationship, and I had a large contract with a paper company, and I'll leave them nameless, but they were one of the largest in the world. I was the VP of sales for a paper towel dispenser company.
Okay.
And we had that contract. It was worth about 16 million a year.
Oh, wow. That's big.
Yeah. Big.
For paper?
Well, not the paper. We made the dispensers that dispense the paper in restrooms around the country and around the world. And it was intricate. There were about 170 internal, highly engineered components to dispense the paper. And they had the contract for X amount of time. I got hired in a week before the contract expired.
Oh, wow.
And the president of the company had inherited the business from his father. He was scared to death to negotiate with the big paper company, which was back in Connecticut. And this, I was in Los Angeles at the time. And I remember them saying, okay, you can bid on this. We were bidding against China. You could not win in those days. This is more than 20 years ago, 25 years ago. You could not win against them because they would deliver the product at half the price. It's just labor costs, which was a huge part of the cost component. And so it was price and quality and delivery. The quality was we lost the bid.
Yeah. Okay.
And I was under the gun, like, well, hey, we brought you in for sales. I've been here a bloody week. How do you, it's a $16 million contract. Everybody in the company expected me to be a savior. Well, China didn't deliver, and we at least on time. So we got to continue producing for a period of time. So there was about 8 million we were able to garner until eventually they just washed us out. And there were, that's why I was saying I had the best relationship possible. I would fly back there every month to schmooze and do what I could, but it all came down to price.
Yes, it does. I mean, I think in any business, it really does.
Yeah. Quality.
Unless you're the consumer, the consumer is the one that's going to pay, but what you're doing B2B, like it's always comes down to price.
Yeah, and that's a commodity product. It's no different than what you were doing. You were supplying certain products. I mean, and in the vendor, had to be ISO certified, which
we were ISO certified.
So you get it. Yeah. So you have to have that badge to meet the criteria. And it's an interesting way to look at business and understand relationship matters. Maybe it's the extra between the A and the A+, Deanna.
Sure.
What does an A+ student do? The extra credit.
Right.
And maybe that's what you did in order to earn that, because it doesn't sound like you did anything else. It was, this is objective. And
I put together a proposal. So like there's the bidding documents that you have to submit, but I also put together a proposal with, I made it just very fancy to submit with the bid. So I went above and beyond in terms of what I submitted with it. Not only did I send them what they were looking for with the bid packet, but it was also that proposal that I sent to that had documentation, a little bit more about the company and like just, how we were going to service them better. So I always did that with my bids. And I think that's what put me forward a little bit and why I won so many.
Well, you committed to A+ work. You took on the extra credit, and that's why you got
type A all the way.
and type A, and you got the cherry on top. Even on Amazon books, something that I'm dear. I coach people how to write books. It's one of my business sectors. There's an area where you can produce A+ content in the Amazon author listing, which allows you to showcase elements of the book that gives it more highlight, more emphasis. It's why they deem it A+ content. Every other book listing is exactly the same. You can put in the author profile can be updated, but all the, oftentimes the little hinges swing big doors. And that's what we're talking about metaphorically. You put in the little extra effort in order to swing that big bid your way and win.
Yep, sure did.
So tell us about your newest venture that you get involved in.
Oh gosh, it's never ending with me.
You're the entrepreneur.
Girl. I am the entrepreneur. I'm a total yes girl. When something falls in my lap and I think it's a good idea, I do my homework. Don't get me wrong, but I just tend to I feel like I just kind of, I go with the flow. Right. So I got an email, a random email, which one usually does. I read it and it was about how to expand my reach, which is what I want to do. And to start a magazine. So I'm like, oh, this sounds interesting. So I scheduled a call and I had the call, and it's a franchise. It's a luxury magazine. It's a franchise. And so I had probably like 5 calls with them before I said, okay, I'm going to do this. Right. But it just kind of fits in with what I'm currently doing. I'm in this media space and I love luxury. I think I kind of exemplify that in a lot of ways with how I live and how I come across.
Nice earrings.
Yeah, thank you. I'm plugged into it. So first I had the calls to understand what the business model, the return, all the things that one does when they do their due diligence. Then I wanted to see, okay, well, what territory is available? So you get a territory. And so the Gold Coast of Chicago, which
Oh
is a
yeah, money.
huge, influential, affluent market, it was available. I'm like, I couldn't believe that it was available. There were some other territories, but I was just like, no. My husband is a Chicago police officer in that area. That's his district, number one. A lot of my networking that I'm a member of, the networking group I'm a member of, is in that area. A lot of the people that I know are in that area. Like, I just have a lot of relationships in this area that just makes sense for me to do that area. So had some more calls, and I signed the contract, made my payment to buy into this franchise. And so I leave I leave soon to go for training to launch. So my estimated launch date is September, but if I could get going really quickly, I will be launching sooner than that. It really depends on getting the advertisers and getting the content set up to launch. So very
Well,
exciting stuff.
do you want to give us a peek of what it's called so then when
Yeah,
people
oh,
hear,
for sure. And I have some examples here of other
yeah,
magazines.
let's see, let's
So
get you
it's
some
good.
business.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be called Gold Coast City Lifestyle.
Okay.
Very high, this is one, I don't know where Cherry Creek is, but this is an example of it. Very high end. It's almost like book quality. It's very
Okay.
nice.
Coffee
Like, it
table
would
book.
coffee table book. Yes. So like I mean, it's very nice. Very nice. So I'm excited. When I saw the quality of it, I was just like, okay, I can do this. And I can, so if the training doesn't go well, I can opt out. So that's, if I'm like not
Oh,
happy, if I'm not happy with how things go with training, then I can opt out. But here's one for the North Shore in Chicago. And I guess she's some basketball coach, big time basketball coach with ESPN. Oh, she's ESPN reporter. So I'm lining up celebrities to get on the cover. So I sent my
oh,
celebrity PR guy an email and gave him a list of names they have Chicago roots. So we shall see.
okay. And interesting, in this day and age, here you are on the cutting edge, a podcast host, the label free
There's
podcast.
Kathy Lee Gifford. She's on one.
Sure, sure.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's fine. No, you're making me smile because this is bringing back my roots. I was a print journalist years ago, and that was my undergrad from the
Yeah.
University of Southern California. And print is the absolute opposite of where podcasting is. Podcasting is on the rise. Many people in the print category are leaving it, but you're getting into it because you see opportunity. Tell us about the riches and niches, because where you're in an exclusive category, and I'm very familiar with the Gold Coast. I spent a lot of time in Chicago in the 80s, in the 70s and 80s. So I spent some time there, staying right on in the Rush Street area.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. So there is a digital footprint too that is married with the actual physical copy of the magazine, which does very well. So it is because I asked that question. I said, what if somebody says print is dead?
Right.
That's what, and like, and the feedback I got, because I talked to another publisher, was like, I've never hear that. A lot of people hang on to these magazines because they're such high quality. And, I've heard that they get returned. So after hearing all these things and because asking that question, it's not what I think. Cause I personally physically like to pick up a magazine and look at it.
Me too.
I love social media. I love all that stuff, but a book, I love a book. I'm not a big ebook person. I love an actual physical book.
Me too.
So I don't buy into that print is dead. And if you're producing something like the high quality, I think that's where you're going to stand out.
And the clients, I would imagine you spoke to other franchisees or are going to be, and they have been successful with this.
Yeah. Actually, there's a woman here in the North Shore, the one I showed you. She started one. She's breaking off into launching a second one because it's been so successful. And one of the other publishers I talked to, she's got a couple different magazines too that have been so successful. She's actually selling one off to a friend. It's taking her friend a couple of years to buy. So I'm like, okay, after hearing all this and just kind of knowing, just doing my due diligence, like, this sounds like a good investment. And so I obviously gonna have to work my ass off. It's not going to fall into my lap. Although I've been putting it out there on social media, and I'm getting a lot of people interested in setting up a meeting with me. And I'm like, okay, when I get back, we're going to sit down and talk. So I've already got several meetings lined up.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I wish you the best of luck with that. That's
you.
Quite a shift, but you can push people through your podcast. And this is localized business. So these are businesses that are in a certain sector.
Yeah.
So you're not traveling anytime soon. You're going to be working your tukish off in a local area.
Yes.
On the Gold Coast. And I'm very familiar with that area, and I wish you the best. Well,
thank you.
What's the best way for people to get in touch with you and become a guest on the Label Free podcast, like as I did, which was very beneficial?
Yes. I'm everywhere. You can email me. Actually, it's my former last name, Deanna.Kempel@labelfreepodcast.com. You can reach out to me on social media, Label Free Podcast. You can find me anywhere, Label Free Podcast. You Google search my name. I'm gonna pop up everywhere. If you are resourceful, you'll find my phone number, my email. Just shoot me a message, and I will get back to you as quickly as I can.
Okay. Well, Deanna, it's been great to have you as a guest today. And I've enjoyed our previous conversations. We did this twice before, I remember.
Yes, yeah.
We had some challenge with the recording, so we got to get it Twittered all over again. And I wish you all the best with your magazine and your new venture, which I'm sure will be augmenting your podcast, where you can you can entice people who are prospective advertisers. Why not be a guest on my podcast, which is nationally or internationally syndicated? And you are in the top, 1% of podcasters 1%. Worldwide? Okay. That's huge. Huge. Yeah. Congratulations. And
that's what I would offer them. Like, you want to advertise? I'll also have you as a guest. And I actually have
that's so smart.
Yeah. So I have a studio that I can use that's downtown that I have access to. So because of my relationships that just kind of add a little extra,
Oh, a podcast studio, a nice podcast studio. Oh. See, now that's called a strategic alliance. Now I get it, and people get it, and that's the lesson. It's like old can be new. It's just a matter of how do you package it. Are you buying into a Tiffany box or something from Target? And you're definitely a Tiffany box lady.
That's right. That's right. 1000%. Make sure I'm gonna let my husband know that you said that. It's gonna be my new tagline.
Oh my gosh. I'm a Tiffany box, honey. Don't think about Target. Ain't happening in this lifetime.
That's right.
Oh, God. Well, you've been a great guest. And
thank you.
Thank you so much for accepting my invitation.
Thank you for having me.
And this will enrich my listeners very much. So I wish you all the best. And we will see you down the road again. Thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning in to the Amazing Authorities Podcast. If today's episode inspired you, take a moment to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It helps more experts like you rise to the top. For behind-the-scenes access and free resources to boost your authority, head to MitchCarson.com. Until next time, stay amazing.